Welcome to the Fifth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is a date in the future that I do not know. We're recording this on May 10th. With you today is myself, Carl, the always wonderful Joel.
Oh, what's up?
Hey, Joel's distracted. And maybe the reason he is distracted, sitting across the table from us, is the tiniest of mics. Welcome to Calgary.
Here I am. Hello. Hello, Canada, and thank you for your hospitality.
Yeah. You've been here for less than 12 hours so far. First impressions of this land.
I have Tim Horton sitting in front of me. This is a magical paradise, and Joel's basement is very cold to sleep in.
I warned you. I warned you it was cold to sleep in. You knew what you were getting yourself into.
That is true, but luckily for me, I came equipped, and unlike the typical fare, I slept in a full sweatsuit last night and had no issues whatsoever. So thank you for the warning.
Well, there we go. Big show in store today. We are going to be talking superpowers. Before we get into our superpowers, let's remind you about a super bank, ATB Financial.
Look at you.
If you head over to atb.com/listens, you can find out all the ways that they can help you, and they can find out what you want. So head over to atb.com/listens. They are wanting to listen to you. They can find out everything for residential, personal, commercial, business, whatever you're doing, ATB is the bank for you. So, gentlemen, we had a discussion on the fourth line on, what was that? Monday's episode, May the 7th, I believe it was, about spoilers and movies. And we said that it was what, Joel, like a few weeks of spoilers before
Something like that.
before you could spoil it. Full disclosure, there may be some Avengers Infinity War spoilers happening today.
There's no maybe
Yeah,
about
you say maybe.
it.
I'm intending to.
Okay. There will be Avengers Infinity Wars. We're not going to talk plot, but there might be things mentioned. If you're like, hey, haven't seen it yet, just put this in the hopper, wait a couple weeks, go see it. If you don't care, it's not going to be Infinity War themed, so you can still enjoy it, which is great.
We may have to dive in at some point about how Carl's boyfriend just ruined the whole movie.
We can do that, sure.
I'm interested to know how you feel about that.
That's fine. We can. Do you want to start there?
We can start there because I don't think it's going to be. I'm just interested to know how you feel. Like, is Chris Pratt still like your BFF?
Well, what I appreciated about his role in that movie, because in all the movies we've seen him in, Star-Lord has been the guy. And like we've known he's kind of an idiot, he's kind of aloof, but you don't have the other Avengers around. Everyone in that movie is an idiot and like a failure to a degree. That's the point of the movie. So you surround him with Avengers who have been doing this for years, who like Captain America was literally designed to do this, and his weaknesses are exaggerated even more so. And so I look at it, I'm like, that's who Star-Lord is. That's what he has been throughout all eternity. He's jealous. He's emotionally fragile. He's essentially me, but he can fly and has cool guns. And so, yeah, I'm not at all surprised. Was it stupid? Yes, but if every movie, every character did exactly what they should at every point in time, the movie would be terrible. So, yeah, it was very dumb. He should have waited at least 30 seconds for Iron Man and Spider-Man to rip that glove off, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Just sad for you.
Well, I'm also sad for Carl because nobody likes seeing someone's man crush just fall from grace like that.
I know.
But I got to say, Carl's handled it really well, and actually he's come up with a very, very interesting theory for how to connect some of the very disparate pieces of our fandoms together using this movie as a central thread.
Yeah. So, well, what it came from was I found on Reddit. It was a picture from the Ant-Man trailer, I believe. Is that what it was from? A picture from the Ant-Man trailer, and it had an Asian man whose name I do not know, but it was the guy who was Asian Jim from The Office. Do you recall?
Oh, yeah.
And so the caption on this picture was, "Oh, our first look at Jim Halpert in Ant-Man," which made me chuckle. But the first comment, this was on the Reddit thread, first comment was, "Why's Bobby Newport there?" He didn't want to. His dad made him. And then it says, because the new Ant-Man movie is the most ambitious crossover yet. Which is fantastic. But what was great about that was it got me thinking, so we now have Marvel, we have The Office, and we have Parks and Rec. And there's one thread throughout two of those, which is Ann Perkins / Karen Filippelli. I started thinking, how is she the same in both? I figured that Anne, because Karen disappears in The Office, right? She's there, and then she gets transferred, and in that, I believe she has a kid in the future. In this one, she disappears, has a kid in the future. And so my thought was, Karen has moved to Indiana, a state that is never mentioned in The Office as far as I can recall. There are no Dunder Mifflin branches in Indiana, so she is safe. She is there as witness protection, changes her name to Ann Perkins, becomes a nurse, and most likely, I figured, okay, well, why is she there? I figured Dwight snapped. Dwight finally went nuts, him or Mose, or both, finally snapped, and that is why Karen had to move to Indiana. And to now bring it back full circle.
I was like, I don't understand how this has to do with...
So, as part of this then, if that's Bobby Newport as Ant-Man, which is fairly logical, I could see his dad buying an Ant-Man suit. I see Chris Pratt, who in the movie in the show, Andy has a very justice focus, but also like a mess up. He has like severe confidence issues, more so than Star-Lord has, which looking back, if you're like you just killed half the galaxy, I also would feel that. And so he's got those issues at hand. I figure he's now left the superhero business, also coincidentally moved to Indiana, to Pawnee, is living there. And so he is now he's Andy Dwyer instead of Star-Lord, and is living there. So that's how you bring them all together. Burt Macklin is him trying to live out Star-Lord on Earth. And so that's how you bring them all together.
Peter Quill Star-Lord, you son of a bee.
That is the most ambitious crossover yet.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, I don't really know where to go from there, so you can find us on Twitter at...
Mike flew all the way here for a 7-minute podcast. Thank you very much, Mike. It was great to be with you today.
Well worth it. See you guys next time.
Yeah. What we were actually going to do today is down the superhero theme and thread. There's a website that actually Mike alerted us to, which has given me hours upon hours of entertainment. It's Superpower Wiki is the name of the site, and the best part about it is there's a randomizer, and so it'll randomly assign you a superpower, which has led to hours upon hours of conversations for all of us. And so, are we picking one random superpower and then going with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've already picked mine.
All right, well, then start. What is your superpower, Joel?
Conclusion embodiment.
What does that mean?
So this is what it says. It says that me, the user, can become the physical manifestation or personification of conclusions and endings to things. So meaning I get to decide how, when, everything ends, since everything does have an ending. Like stories, games, people, if you want to get a little darker, gods, worlds, and even universes. Yes.
Okay.
My power is limitless over all aspects, as well, including death, growth, time, space, evolution. I can bring eternity to a standstill. I'm pretty happy with this one.
That feels kind of powerful.
That's a little OP, yeah.
So the fact that you guys just be aware that if you try and interrupt me when I try to end this podcast again, it may end differently for you.
This is interesting. I don't know about yours. Mine goes very hand in hand with Joel's.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, and just to be clear, like, there is no shenanigans going on behind the scenes here. This was like a one selection, like, very randomly generated thing.
Very much. I got mine. I was like, this is dumb. And then Joel just read his out. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, you hit us, Mike.
All right. Very similarly, like, so Joel's talking about, the endings of things and how things end. Mine is very morbid, but ties into that. So the power listing that I just got is Death Empowerment, which, yeah, sounds pretty morbid. Yeah. So the power to gain strength from the deaths of others. So users become stronger, faster, more durable, etc. by the deaths of others, possibly unlocking abilities related to the affinity and enhancing the existing powers of the person in question. Some users may be able to draw sustenance from the dying or even slow or stop aging in themselves. So
Stop aging.
Yes.
Whoa.
As someone who's getting his share of white hairs in his beard, that is probably the most enticing feature of this power for me.
So, okay, but is it just anybody who dies and you can choose whether you like take stuff from them, or do you have to like actually end their life?
So it doesn't say anything about having to actually end their life, but it does seem to imply that there is some connection between you and the person dying. That it's not just anytime somebody dies in the world or the universe, you get stronger. It's more so that anybody who is close to you that dies, you get some of their strength. So, for instance, if we're jumping back down the rabbit hole of the Infinity War, spoiler, at a certain point in the movie, Thanos, a certain point, damn near the end,
Right, the end of the movie.
The end of the movie.
Yeah.
Thanos gets all of the Infinity Stones that he wants, and as Gamora suggested, he snaps his fingers, and that causes half of the universe to die out. So if I'm a member of the Avengers in that situation, and if I am lucky enough to not die as a result of that finger snap, I can't imagine how powerful I'm going to become once half of all of my superhero friends all die out and I absorb some of their powers.
See, now are we like the Avengers in the fact that like the three of us are working together, or because I can make sure that you're not one of the people that dies. I can do that. I have the ability.
Yes, Joel, I would appreciate if you killed off just about everybody else in the universe except for me to maximize my strength.
So that sounds like I'm becoming Thanos now.
And then once you do this, I'm going to be strong enough to maybe stop you, and it's going to be great.
But you can't, because as soon as like we start fighting, I'm going to just be like, I'm going to change this ending because I don't want to die. I feel like I have like the ultimate trump card. Like you can't, there's nothing anybody can do because you're just like, well, we're going to finish you. No, you're not. Like
I've decided that you're not going to kill me, actually.
Yeah, I've decided I am going to become the personification of you dying and not me. Enjoy.
Have fun with that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's see how mine fits in. I honestly haven't even read it I read the first one. That might be my superpower. I hear instead of reading. No, limit intuition, which sounds terrible. However, the first description, the ability to possess innate knowledge of limits. So Joel, with his ending of things, I have the innate power. The user possesses great, if not natural, knowledge of limits themselves. With this power, the user can sense what kind of limits people or objects may have, minimum or maximum, and intuitively know how to break those limits or how to work with such limits.
My head hurts. This is too much for me.
As Joel continues to set the limits of time and ending things, I know what those are and what will happen. So if we decided that we were fighting against each other, I would know what Joel's doing as soon as he's done it, at the very least.
But can you stop me from doing it, or do you just know about it?
Well, it says that I have the user can sense what and intuitively know how to break those limits. So you set an ending of life, and I know how to change that. I can break that limit you've set.
And then I can just change that. Like, this is just going to be an ongoing. We wouldn't be able to fight each other. We might as well team up together.
It's gonna be the worst movie ever. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just so. Yeah, I think it would be better if we were friends as opposed to enemies in this, because then, but then, like, ours is very similar, because you know what's going to happen. I can change what's going to happen.
And you can change it with regards to time. I know, so let's say Mike is our evil villain that we're fighting against. I know his physical strength limit, and all of a sudden I get confused because I'm seeing it go up and up and up as we kill all of his minions. That would be bad.
See, but I can also, it's not just time. I can change evolution, which would be...
Turn me into a fish person?
Yeah. Growth, death, space, like anything. It's not
growth. So, like, you can really make me like Tiny Mike.
Yeah, I can make you Tiny Mike.
You're getting Benjamin Button, for sure.
You thought you're not getting old anymore? Plot twist.
Yeah, you were born at 87 years old.
Yeah. So... what the thing is, so, okay, I'm trying to figure out though, cause like, there's gotta be a loophole in all of ours. Well, like, yours would be once you finally run into someone that's just more powerful than you, Mike.
Yeah.
And so like, and then that would be your end. But like, how do you end Carl if he's always...
I think Mike's loophole is also what you do is this is gonna sound... I'm trying to make it sound like I'm not a terrible person. What you do is you take all of his friends, all of your people that you work with, because if it's only people that you know, we take them, we do not kill them, we stash them away somewhere. So we just like put them on a boat and shove them in the middle of the ocean where you can never find them. They don't ever die, but they cannot help. That's what we have to do. We cannot kill. So we have to go full, unlike Marvel, we have to go full DC. We are not allowed to kill anyone here. That's how we stop Mike. And then it's literally just like people who are dying of old age and getting hit by buses that he knows are the only people giving him strength.
Yeah. You guys are going to make me lonely.
You're also going to be incredibly sad, but you are not going to be able to gain any strength from that. So I'm sorry.
Your problem, Carl, is when you start coming up against someone with superpowers, because you may be able to know what they're going to do, but you, like, if intuition's your only power, you can't stop anything.
Right. I would be telling other people what to do to fight them, or I would have to build myself like an Iron Man-esque suit.
So this feels vaguely Batman-ish, where like Batman presents a problem for comic books because given an infinite amount of preparation time, Batman can essentially beat anybody because he's that good of a detective. It feels very, very similar with what we're saying about you, is that, you know, let's use the Superman example. So if Superman was to all of a sudden show up, it would be an issue of, oh my gosh, he's so much stronger, faster, has the laser eyes and the freezing breath. Carl doesn't stand a chance. But if Carl knows that Superman is coming, he's going to intuitively know about his weakness to kryptonite, and he's going to be wearing his kryptonite underpants that day.
And I'm gonna know, like, how far can he shoot frost at me? How far can his laser reach? How fast can he fly? So I'll know when he'll get to me.
How far in advance? Because when you were reading, it said when it happens. But how far in advance do you know? Because intuition isn't like you're like understanding a circumstance in front of you. That's not like if someone were to surprise you, you had no idea it was happening. You don't even know the person. Can your intuition, is it like Spidey sense?
Well, actually, so it says known users. Batman, Mike, clutch with the intuition of that. This essentially is Batman being able to figure that stuff out. So it's much less impressive now that it's just like Batman levels. I was assuming it was much stronger. Like I am all knowing in regards to the limits of things. Batman's not.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. I think like as a situation like occurs in front of you and you know about it, that's when you start to figure it out. But like if it's not known to you, if like 10 people swarm you with superpowers, you're probably not going to survive.
Yeah, unless I have some sort of suit or extras, but that's all right.
Yeah. But I can change it for you.
It's true. Yeah. If I die, you can extend my life. That's an interesting thing. So let's say I take mortal wounds during my fight, and you decide like, you're not done yet and you extend my life, do I heal or do I just live in agony for the next decade?
It depends on how I want you to live, because I'll change the ending.
So it sounds like agony then.
Yeah.
That sounds like the answer is just agony.
It's just going to be eternal suffering. It's no big deal, right?
But so you can change the end. You can't change how I get to the end.
No. I can only change the ending of something.
Right. So it could be like if you change that I die in anguish, then I could heal and then get anguished near the end or something. Who even knows?
I'm not entirely sure.
I feel like that's something that could backfire. Like, unintentionally you start doing things and then you're like, I'm going to make it end this way, and then
oh, I'm not smart with my limitless ending. It's obviously going to go poorly for someone, just not me all the time. It'll just be like, this doesn't, so watch out for my friends. You guys are probably in trouble.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about next. Is like, yes, we've established these superpowers and what it would look for us to be superheroes with these powers. What would it look like for us to be our everyday selves with these powers? Like, how would we use these, like, just walking around the streets of Calgary on a day-to-day?
I think, like, if I'm walking down using the walking down the streets mentality, I'd be like, all right, I really want to jaywalk. I want to know the limit of when this car is going to get to me. Okay, I can go. Like that. Those are the kinds of ways that I would be using it. Because from an average every day, I think, like, the biggest one would probably be sports, right? Like, you're playing slow pitch and you're like, all right, I want to know the limit of this person's strength so I know how deep to play or how shallow to play. I want to know how fast they are, so I want to know how hard I have to throw it. Those are some of the ways, the everyday ways, my limit knowledge would come in handy.
I would never lose anything ever again.
Anything.
Like, anything. Just because, like, I could go and win the lottery. Just be like, I'm going to change the end of this to me winning. And then
Never gonna have a meeting that runs over or anything like that.
Never have a meeting that runs over. We're never losing a slow pitch game again.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, haven't yet. Why start now?
So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I could use it for good though too. Not just like,
well, you could donate some of every lottery you ever win for the rest of. They would stop lotteries. Lotteries would stop existing because of Joel.
Yeah, because it would just turn into a game of give Joel trillions of dollars.
I would only need like a couple. Like, I don't need.
I think when someone wins the jackpot for the second time in their life, they start to question things.
Yeah.
So I think you would honestly have to rein it in, because if you did win the lottery twice, people would start looking at you and be like, how is this happening?
If I started, if I was like found a bookie with sports gambling, like, my knees would be broken immediately. Cause like, so although no, they wouldn't, because I'd be like, no, that's not how this is going to end.
But that's not the end. That's the middle.
True.
So
interesting point.
What is it? But wouldn't that be the end? Cause like, you're like,
be the end of you walking.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to change that.
So you would have to pick a different end of you walking?
Yeah. And where the end, it becomes them not walking. See?
Okay. Joel's definitely has the most potential to benefit himself, everyone. In everyday life, Joel's is much more impressive. Yours is honestly like just a little bit sad in real life.
Yeah. It would remind me a little bit of like the sadder parts of the movie Highlander, where, you know, you're looking at a guy who's an immortal, who's walking around carrying a sword, but he tells a story during part of that movie of how sad it was for him to watch all of his loved ones grow old and die. Similarly, I feel like I'd be destined to a very sad existence where every time somebody who passed away from me died, slowed down the aging process for me. So that as I lose more and more people in my life, as generations pass, my life will be extended, but I'm watching my entire bloodline pass before my eyes.
So do you think you would eventually choose to isolate yourself to finally end this drawn-out existence?
I think I'd have to hit up my friend Joel to talk about what a good ending would look like at that point.
That's true. He's already dead, though, because you have outlived him.
No, because I can change that ending. Come on, Carl. I'm not gonna end my I'm not gonna go not change the end of my own life. Me and you will be fine.
All right, bye, Carl.
I was gonna say, and I'm just sitting here. And I'm like, oh, Joel just gave Mike an extra, took 200 years off his life. This is
How about
cool.
this, Joel? Can we bring Carl back to life and kill him over and over again to like keep on giving me like re-upping on that buff?
On that intuition.
I just want that sweet Carl's death buff. You know,
We could do that.
nice,
That'd be an interesting experience.
nice for all of us, really.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Well, no.
Can you make it painless? Can I die in dozens of painless ways?
I don't make the rules. I just work here.
I'm asking Joel.
I don't make the rules either.
But you could say like you choose the end, like I don't know.
I don't choose the middle, though. We've already talked
I know,
about this.
you don't choose the middle, just
the
the
middle
end.
is going to be painful, Carl. There's nothing I can do about that.
Or great. Like maybe they're like, all right, this guy's died a dozen times today. We're gonna give him like just the best steak dinner,
Gonna die of happiness.
and then he's just gonna die of a heart attack immediately after he finishes. I'd be all right with that.
all right.
I'll think about it.
Okay, that's good to know. So we've established that Joel and Mike would team up to kill me
Over and over, repeatedly.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. We haven't decided that.
Okay, it's been
We've thought about
proposed. It's been suggested that
Yeah.
could happen.
Daydreamed, really fantasized.
it. Yeah, your intuition was a little less, presuming there.
Well, I don't have the power.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know the. I would be interested.
No, I was just talking
to know.
about your regular intuition.
Yeah. My regular intuition lacks a lot. I would be very interested to know if I could find a loophole in both of your superpowers with my limitless thing. I don't have that power, so I don't know what it would be. But I assume every superpower has a loophole, right? So
Oh, yeah. I'm going to, there's going to be a lot of pain in my life up until the end. Because, I can't control what happens in the middle.
yeah,
So that's how people get to me, is they're just like, well, I'm going to make this guy's middle of the story miserable.
yeah, that makes sense.
So,
So you better hope the Joker just never gets a hold of you.
yeah. I'm worried about
A moment of gravitas on the fifth line.
Joel's seen some stuff.
I can't be a part of this anymore. I'm leaving.
Joel is getting up and
Choosing to end his participation in this podcast.
literally walking out the door as we speak. Joel actually he has to go to work. Apparently, that's a thing that some of us have to do today.
Yeah, he should use his superpower to end the workday early.
Yeah, it's true. At 11:30, so he doesn't have to do that. That would have been great.
Yeah.
So what do we want to do without him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I definitely have a weird question that we can talk through. We can definitely discuss some more spoilers. We can spoil any other movie that we want to. Now that we gave that warning up front, we could talk about Titanic if we want to, and tell everybody how everybody lives at the end of that and goes home happy.
Well, so let's talk about that, because this is the thing that I've found very interesting. So Thanos at the end of the movie snaps his fingers, everything happens. I would love it, as we've done this crossover into the movies, into The Office and Parks and Rec. So what makes my idea fall apart is the fact that there's no reference in either of these movies to the fact that half of civilization has ended at any point. But that's the reality that they would be living in. But I just think it would be interesting to do that in other movies. Like if all of a sudden you're watching, I don't know what movie, you're watching Bridget Jones' Diary 6. More Bridget, more Jones.
The best in the series, by the way.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, I had no, Bridget gets dusted and she's gone. And that's how they end the series.
So yeah, I would love for this to play out like across some iconic movie scenes, like throughout the history of film. Like think of the end of Casablanca, where the two characters are walking off into the fog together, and saying, you know, this could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Imagine if the other person dusts at that very moment. Think about the movie Dirty Dancing, that iconic scene where Patrick Swayze is lifting her up above his head in the water, and he gets dusted mid-lift.
It's not, it's when she jumps. She jumps and he gets dusted and his arms disappear first and she just falls flat on the ground.
And he's smiling as his face dusts away.
Gotcha. Or Titanic and Jack gets dusted and she can climb up onto the debris and live. It's like no one hates him for the rest of eternity because he's like, there was room for both of you on there. That's not a problem anymore. You fix that. Yeah, I think that would be if that's the reality that we live in, I think that would be interesting. But I don't think we'll get it. What's your weird question?
All right, so the weird question of the day, I'm gonna be honest and tell you that this one was directly inspired by Reddit. A lot of times I go on Reddit and I look through groups like "Would you rather" in order to give myself a sense of directionally, like what type of weird question feels right to me right now. This one is more or less lifted directly from that subreddit, but I think it's a good one to talk through. Would you rather receive $100 every time you're nice to a stranger, or $1,000 every time you're mean to someone you know?
$100 every time you're nice. Like, define nice. Like, if I hold the door open for someone, is that a nice act? I would consider that like a common courtesy.
No, let's make this a little bit tougher. Let's say that on either end of the spectrum, either in the being nice or the being mean, you have to do something that really speaks to the core of who the person is that they're being nice to. So not just opening the door, but say you see a homeless person on the street and you take them out for a warm meal and you give them a bed to sleep in for a couple nights. Like that's the sort of thing that can sort of get you the credit. And maybe it's more appropriate than to up the ante from $100 to $1,000 for the niceness and $10,000 for the meanness.
Yeah. I would still pick that 100%. It's not even close. 'Cause like I would like to say I would do those things for free, and now I'm being paid to. So like, that would be how I would fund my existence, is by doing nice things. I think that's the dream, to make the world a better place and to be able to live off of that. That's gold. So yeah, your coworker, which I wouldn't have a job, but I would just like have this group of friends. I'd be like, oh, nice. Told you, nice haircut last week. Yeah. $1,000 in my pocket. Like that, it really brings out the brown in your eyes. It's perfect. Like it's
actually very nice. I'm smiling right now.
Like I love the plunge of that V. It shows just the right amount of chest hair. I like it.
That was not a mistake. Okay. So what I'm getting a sense of here is, one, you're a much, much better person than I am. And secondly, I think we need, like, now that we're getting into it, like, we definitely need to establish some sliding scale of how much you get paid for these nice acts.
I think so. Yeah. Cause like a compliment should be like, I don't know, $5.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas like going out of your way to do something that takes, energy should be more.
Yeah. Well, I definitely believe you should have a very rewarding life and be very well compensated for being as good a person as you aim to be through this exercise. My intention was not to make you like the world's first nice guy trillionaire, which it definitely seems
which is what I've gamed this into. Yes, yeah. Most certainly. Yeah.
See, I got very diabolical, and I was thinking along the opposite spectrum. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be mean to the people I love for an even bigger payout, thinking along a couple different lines. It's like, do I go back to the same people over and over again and just be mean to the same people so that I'm just ruining the lives of like one or two people, but not necessarily bringing a dark cloud over everybody I love? Do I cut some under the table deal with the people in my life, telling them I'm going to be a real rotten jerk to you, a lot, but every time I'm mean to you, I'm going to give you $50. Where all of a sudden they can then take the meanness more so in stride, while also not depleting me of all of my mean bucks.
Does that count as both being mean and doing something nice for someone?
Ooh, am I defeating myself here?
But no, that's a double dip.
That is a double dip.
Because you now get, would those cancel each other out and you get nothing?
No, because you're choosing either or. You're choosing either to get paid for being nice or you're choosing to get paid for being mean.
Okay, so you're not getting paid for the nice act.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I think if I were to do the mean route, I would definitely select not one family unit that I know that's not a blood relation to me. Mm-hmm. So that
can we name names? Like, do you have people like in mind?
Well, I could do.
Looking at you, Aunt Karen.
No, like Joel. So I would just pick Joel's family, and I would only pick on Joel's family. So one, And Joel would be a bad example because there's multiple connections back to Joel. I would want to pick one with the least amount of roots from them back to my life. I want me to be the only connection to those people. I want there to be no other way back to me, which is why family. Like, if you pick that, it's like, well, family reunions get very awkward because, you've ruin one family's life. So I would pick that. So it would be like a coworker and their family, probably, right?
Okay.
Maybe even not a coworker. I don't know. No connection. Let's say a coworker. And so I would pick them, and I would just pick on those 4 people. And it wouldn't even have to be that much, because like if I'm doing that, 1 mean act a month, 10 grand. I assume, is this tax free?
Tax free.
Yeah, 100%. I would do it. I would just do one mean thing a month. So like the second Tuesday of every month. No, I would keep it random so that they like don't avoid me. Do I have a superpower to make these things happen, or I'm just me?
You're just you. You have to then go engineer the mean acts. So it could just be from learning about their personal history and saying mean things about that, to bringing up painful past relationships and reintroducing them to ex loved ones that have moved on and are now living much richer lives without them. I mean, you can get really creative with this.
And I'm literally taking like the money that I'm getting from my mean acts, funneling it to their exes just to make them like fantastic.
Yeah. You're creating a whole economy of just bad personage.
Yeah. But I probably only have to do it like once or twice a month to be able to live off of that, which is great.
That's where this conversation is going. So let's sort of go down a slippery slope of where we invest in the mean scenario here. And years down the line, we become mean trillionaires. We become like the richest guys in the world because we're just so rotten to Joel's family over and over and over again. I'm so sorry, Joel, but this is how it's going down. So we're now trillionaires, and we decide that we're going to end this experiment. We're no longer going to be mean to people, and we're no longer going to accept money because we have what seems like an infinite amount of funding for ourselves. So in order to then correct our legacy at the end of our lives, we shouldn't say at the end of our lives, at the end of this experiment.
Whenever Joel decides the end of our lives is.
Yeah, whenever he decides it's going to be coming very soon, we'll then say like, hold on, pump the brakes. We're now going to use half of our infinite amount of money to make the world a better place. One, to give you direct reparations and directly apologize to you and your family, but then just to make the world a better place in general. And then I'll use the other half on my own personal fund. How would you go about allocating those funds? Like, how would you give reparations to Joel and his family? How would you then make the world a better place? And then what would you do to make the world a playground for you?
So the good half.
Yeah.
The half that I would be helping the world with. I would start with Joel's family. I would probably, obviously pay off all their debts. I would buy whatever medical needs would be needed to be met to fix whatever I've done to them in the past. Because I assume at some point there has been physical harm to them. And so like that means like I'm buying like the best beds, like the most comfortable chairs to sit in, the best car to drive in. I would make sure that they didn't have to work another day. I would, maybe a private jet so that they could go places with a pilot, the food that they want, any sort of, a home. I think that would be my start. I'd take them, vacations as I almost said as often as they want. Well, I started like yearly vacations, and I was like, well, monthly as often as they want. And I was like, so apparently there is a limit to my generosity.
Good.
Yeah. So vacations, just things that would bring them joy. I don't think after all these years, like how long do you think it would take us to get to this point? I
mean, it'd probably take me like 3 months. Okay. But let's slow play this and say it takes us 5 years.
Okay. So 5 years of just the worst 5 years of your life. And not just you, like your whole family, like your wife, your son, all of it. I don't know how long and what it would take to buy that back. If you were in these shoes, if you were in Joel's shoes, what would it take you to forgive, like genuinely forgive someone if they were to only give you like financial benefit back?
All right, I'm glad we're thinking through this lens here. So if I was the one who was wronged for years on end, if I'm Joel, then I would say that the sort of things that I would accept for reparations, like yes, one, making me whole with all of my outstanding bills, all of my credit card debt, all medical stuff to get everybody healthy again. That's just table stakes. That's just like the first step. Beyond that, I would say I would buy him the Seattle Seahawks. I would give him a personal gift of his favorite football franchise to be the thing that he can do for the rest of his days. or sell off to then finance whatever else it is that he wants to do in his life. I just think that'd be a very good thing for that. And then for the family, or mostly for Henry is what I'm thinking. Some sort of batting lessons from Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. Like that would be sort of like the threefold gift that I give to the family in order to make them whole for all the terrible things that I've done to them to this point.
Okay. So like for you, it would be, like shooting lessons from Steph and KD, all of that. And then, I don't know, buy the Niners or the Warriors for you, gift you a sports franchise.
Yeah, I mean, because you're basically gifting me either something that I love and that would like consume the rest of my days as running that business as a passion, or something that I can sell off and then finance whatever other wild fantasies I want to for the rest of my life. So in essence, I'm saying like, yes, I would sacrifice the next 5 years as the worst 5 years of mine or anybody else's life in exchange for owning one of my favorite professional sports franchises, in-person access to some of my favorite sports heroes, and then making sure that we don't have to pay out of pocket for any medical expenses or lifestyle expenses that we've incurred over the course of the 5 years.
How long would your life have to be the worst life imaginable for you to actually take the offer of no more debt and owning the Warriors?
Are we asking what's the maximum amount of time I can deal with there?
Yeah. So like if they were to say like, Mike, it's going to be 2 years, you're like, too long. If they said it's 3 months, okay, I can do 3 months. Well, what range of time could you handle that for?
So I probably have to look at like how old I am now. So right now I'm in my mid-30s. I'm 36. So I would probably have to imagine that the types of things that could be like the worst over a certain period of time. I feel like I've got like a good 5 or so years before I would say I'm getting too old for this stuff. I can't suffer through the bad times anymore. Like as soon as I hit like my 40s, that's when I feel like I'd sort of raise the raise the white flag and say, I give up, take this away. I can't take it anymore.
So you could do it for like every day. Just Joel texts you and is like, I hate you. I hate you so much.
That's how we start every morning.
Well, that's perfect. Then you're already on your way.
Already on our way
to doing that. Okay. Mine is much less than that.
Yeah.
I could probably do it for, I would say less than a year that I could actually handle doing that. So
I have and maybe this is not something to brag about or a positive thing, but I am stubborn to the point of almost it being a superpower in terms of like what I can put up with and just convincing myself that something is normal. Case in point, I've had a cracked tooth for about 5 months now.
Yeah. Is that why you came to Canada for our healthcare?
For the healthcare. That's exactly why. I know I'm also very stubborn in the fact that I went to the dentist and they say you have to go to a specialist to get this tooth removed. If it's not causing you any crazy pain, chances are it's not that big a deal, but it's definitely something you should get pulled because it's also like one of my wisdom teeth that I just never got pulled. I called the referred oral surgeon the next day. Didn't hear back from them. Called them again 2 weeks later. Didn't hear back, and I just assumed that this was the universe's way of telling me that I didn't really need to get it taken care of. Right?
Joel decided that's how your tooth.
Joel decided this is how I'm going to die is from tooth rot from my one cracked tooth.
At least it's not an important tooth. That's good at least. Yeah, that's good. So we do know that you can certainly put up with much more pain than me. That's good. Well, Mike, let's take a note and let people know about some of the stuff happening with the Alberta Podcast Network. We've been letting everyone know about that this month. There's an event, the Adventures Conference, June 7th in Calgary. As part of that, there's an event called Podcasts Connect, a talk fest about the future. Alberta Podcast Network shows such as That's So Maven, the Work Not Work Show, A Branded World, and Future Chat are going to be in action, talking to fascinating people about all kinds of innovation. As well, ATB will be there to talk to you about some of the things that they're doing. Mike, I have been venturing as part of this Adventures Conference, and you work in an area that you might have knowledge. Excuse me. You might have knowledge about some of these things. So ATB will be talking to us about things like AI.
Nice.
You know what that is? This is the one I still don't know. Joel, I haven't Googled it since then. I'm hoping you do. Blockchain. What is blockchain?
All right. So blockchain has to do with, it has to do with all the bit currency, and it talks about the way that things are computed, such that it is extremely accurate. It's hard to invalidate. It's actually hard to really go into detail about unless we're going to dedicate a good 5-10 minutes to it, which I don't really want to right now.
Okay, well, but that's a teaser. So ATB, they do blockchain. They know about this stuff. They'll be talking about that as well as robotics and other things. So those will be happening at this event. You can come for as many shows as you like at this event because it's free. All you have to do is register. So go to podcastsconnect.eventbrite.ca. You can learn about these shows and all the other events happening with the Alberta Podcast Network at albertapodcastnetwork.com. Now, Mike, where do you find us? Do you know where we are?
I believe we're on the Twitter somewhere. Is that right, Carl?
We are on the Twitter. We are on the Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. You can head over there, play high sticking if you want to. As the Stanley Cup playoffs are winding down, we'll continue to be on there. And as the summer kicks in, the playoffs end, you've got the draft coming up, you've got people re-signing, you've got free agency. There's tons of things happening, especially up until July 2nd. July 3rd, everything dies, and the rest of the summer is when we do things like Royal Rumbles. We'll just Royal Rumble all summer, and it'll be fantastic.
Not talking about the wrestling Royal Rumble, but actually doing it ourselves.
We will bring in us 3 and 27 of our friends, and we'll somehow turn that into an audio medium throughout the summer. That'll be our goal. So you can tune in there on Twitter, thefourthlinepodcast.com, where you can find great writing and other things. If you want to find us on Apple Podcasts, if you're listening somewhere else and you're like, I want to subscribe, do that. You can find it on our website, or you can just search us. Search the Fourth Line Podcast on the Google or Bing. We recommend Bing. Head over there and do that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Mike, thank you for being live and in person. This is a treat.
It's been a treat for all of us. I mean, it's been a little different. I'm wearing pants while recording, which is a new and brave experience for all of us.
Yeah, but this is also the first time you've ever podcasted with Timbits in your mouth.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I did about half of the podcast with a glazed Timbit in my mouth.
Yeah, Mike has a giant mouth. He can fit a Timbit, and you couldn't even tell.
That's right. Timbit and microphone in my mouth at the same time.
He's a special person. Until next time, we will be back. Mike will probably not be here, which will be sad, but that's fine.
Boom City.